Much like Oprah, Beyonce, and Elvis, the new world of investing has a handful of one-named superstars: Elon, Kathy, and Chamath. Yes, I think Chamath Palihapitiya is the Elvis Presley of EV SPACs. Last week, he tweeted about his biggest investment in climate change, calling Proterra a no-brainer. And if you're like me, you've probably never heard of Proterra before his tweet. But they are the #1 EV bus maker in North America, and they're going public in 2021, the 2021 way, as a SPAC under the ticker ACTC. If you watched the last few episodes of Dumb Money, the last couple of weeks, you know that we've made some big investments in some of these EV hype SPACs: Lion, Lightning, and Lucid. Oh my. So obviously we have to consider investing in Proterra. Today on Dumb Money, there is one question that we need to answer for ourselves. Has Chamath already overhyped this SPAC?
This is Dumb Money Live with Chris Camillo, Dave Hansen, and Jordan McLean, streaming live on YouTube. We are Dumb Money.
Hey there, Dave here along with Chris and Jordan. We are Dumb Money. Welcome to the show. SPACapalooza continuing today with Proterra. And thanks to the handy one-pager that Chamath tweeted, we know that the company says they've sold thousands of electric transit buses, 550 on the road today, better system technology validated by 16 million miles. They've developed an industry-leading 54 megawatts of charging systems. Chris, Jordan, the real question: are you ready to jump on the hype bus? Or are you letting this one leave you at the terminal?
I just want you to say Chamath again.
Chamath. Chamath.
Chamath.
I can't do it.
No way, it's Chamath. It's Chamath.
Chamath?
Chamath?
It's Chamath, I believe.
Chamath?
Chamath
Palihapitiya.
It's definitely not Chamath. I know that.
Chamath.
Real good.
Just here, I'm going to say it a bunch of different ways, and then I'll just edit in the right one. Chamath, 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 Chamil, Chamile.
I think we need to remind everyone why it is that we're talking about bus companies every day. You know, we have the inauguration coming up tomorrow. The Green Energy Initiative, Biden's Green Energy Initiative, a big part of it is essentially mandating that every commercial vehicle, it seems like, but specifically commercial buses, including school buses, but all buses, kind of go electric by 2030. I mean, that's a monster mandate right there, right? The bus industry is just absolutely enormous, and there aren't 100 companies manufacturing buses. So Lion was kind of our big Canadian, EV bus manufacturer that we got in. I want to say we got in like midway along the hype train on Lion, right? And we probably are a little guilty for adding to that hype train.
A little late, I would say. By the time the show ended and I was considering getting my trade in, I thought that was too expensive. But you already had put $1 million in for yourself.
Well, it did go up another 50. It did go up about another 50% after I put the $1 million in. Dave.
I know.
So we weren't too late. You just weren't aggressive enough getting your order in.
Clearly.
And then also, listen, Lightning e-motors, one of my absolute favorite commercial EV truck SPACs, but with the worst naming and website
in history.
I think they're getting a new website. Didn't I see a tweet where there was like this guy and he's got his graphic design card? I think we might have inspired that.
They're working on it. The great thing about Lightning e-motors, partially because of the name of the website, is they're not as hyped. They weren't on Kramer like Lion was the day after our show. They haven't run through that cycle, but it's hard to find a bigger hype engine than Chamath. Okay, there's no one.
You've got the same syndrome as me.
Yeah, I had it right. Now you confuse me. There's no one that the market pays more attention to than him. So you really have to ask yourself prior to getting in. Listen, I'm in, guys. I'm not in as heavy as I am Lion or as heavy as I am Lightning, but I'm in. I got in maybe a week and a half ago. But you have to ask yourself, is it over? I mean, at what point does the information parity hit in? Because we're all about, investing when there's an information imbalance, meaning you identify some information the market doesn't fully appreciate. When that kind of hits parity, that's when you exit the trade. So with Chamath in this deal, I mean, could you really say that there's information imbalance left? Because doesn't everyone just assume that if he's invested in it, it's a golden company and people overbuy?
Well,
that's
we already
the
have
thesis,
people
right?
pointing out that it is off of its high, yesterday. I mean, these things move so fast, but I mean, it's only been trading basically for 5 days since that announcement, and people are. Here's a comment. It dropped a ton today. It dropped a ton. It dropped like a quarter inch on this chart. That's nothing.
Let's break it,
Down 2
guys.
cents.
Let's break it
here's
down.
Here's another comment that might help us. Che, CHA, is pronounced chai, like chai latte.
Okay. Oh, it's
I
Chai.
hope that's right, because-
Chamath. Okay.
It's not
Why don't we talk
Please
about
don't.
what we like and what is maybe some risk factors that the market might or might not be paying attention to, and then figure out if this thing is overhyped. First of all, this like literally is the Lion Electric of the U.S., except unlike Lion, who, if you haven't watched our show on Lion Electric, you absolutely should. It aired last week. Lion Electric is all about controlling the end-to-end process, the full OEM process. They actually manufacture their own chassis. They put together their own, EV drivetrain, like the whole 9 yards. They control the entire process. Where Proterra is kind of like a hybrid. They do that. They will do that. But then they also will just do. Wait, don't we? Oh.
Never mind. I'm just having little private conversations with our audience while you're talking.
That's fine. So they will do that.
If you love avocado toast, everybody loves avocado toast. It's the best.
I don't love it, dude.
And
I like
unless you're
toast and
Graham,
avocados,
and
but
it's too expensive. You just need to make your own.
We make
I
our
don't
own.
like the two together.
Oh, I love it.
Anyway, they do more than just make their own kind of end-to-end EV buses. They will just do the electrified drivetrain. They also will just do the battery production, meaning they will take the battery cells and actually produce it in a format that's usable for kind of large-scale commercial vehicles, these large-scale buses. So they will do all three, and we'll talk about that breakdown in a minute. But that's what really differentiates them from a pure kind of end-to-end EV company like Lion. So it gives them more flexibility, right? They have more. The revenue channels are more diversified, and they're not just a bus provider. Just like Lion, they do buses, but they also do They do other types of commercial vehicles as well. In fact, they do like half the spectrum of commercial vehicles right now.
And I do have to point out that earlier I had the wrong chart up. That was Lucid. This is the one that will eventually be Proterra. This is ACTC. So thanks for pointing
not
that out.
down, then.
Whoever got that in the Christopher. Thank you for letting us know about that.
Yeah, so yeah, they're doesn't look like they're down too much. Let's just go over the revenue numbers, guys. This is what's so fascinating. Their revenue's really similar to Lion. 193 million of revenue this year, expected to explode to 2.5 billion right by 2025. But here's what's so cool: they have 750 million dollars of orders and backlog right this second, and they already own 50% of the EV transit bus market in America, which is, by the way, globally a $260 billion market. So monster market, they own the EV transit market
But
in the United
You
States.
sent me a
that's a
screenshot
big-
of some other YouTube video that had this this data in it. So let me just put that on there. That is that valuation sheet that we're talking about. Let's see if we can zoom in and read the numbers a little bit better.
Yeah, so well,
That global market number is kind of misleading, though. I mean, a big chunk of that's probably China.
well, of course it is. And actually, some of
I
these
just don't
other
see them getting any of the China business.
No, and here's the thing, Jordan. Some of these other EV kind of commercial truck entities are actually pitching numbers that go upwards of $1 trillion globally. So it is all over the place.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is I'm just saying what they're claiming. They're claiming 25% gross margins. They're going to be positive EBITDA by 2023, positive cash flow by 2024. Now, here's the thing, guys. We know that there's a small window to take advantage of this rush to commercial EV, the Biden Green Energy Initiative. So only your key players, the key players that have manufacturing in place, battery relationships, supply relationships with battery providers, have partnerships in place to be able to either get the right OEM equipment or to build chassis or to insert their EV drivetrains in other OEMs chassis, right? Have actual sales relationships in place, because these vehicles, the transit vehicles, are sold to government mainly, right? Cities, states, federal government, and the school buses are sold to school districts, right? You have to have those relationships in place. You have to have a reputation. We loved Lion's reputation. That's why, like, they have a stellar reputation in Canada, and they've been expanding into the US. They already have hundreds of buses, EV, on the road. Proterra is the same exact situation. They have buses on the road. They've been doing, I sent you guys some shots from like 2013, 2017. They've been doing these EV buses for a long time. Like, these guys are ready. They're built for the explosion that's about to happen. They have a manufacturing facility in California. They actually just hired the VP of manufacturing from Tesla to expand their facility in South Carolina. The one in California is 350,000 square feet, okay? We know that Lion is expanding into the US into a major manufacturing facility. So all the pieces are there, and here's the big one, guys, everyone's talking about. Jennifer Granholm, right? She is the new energy secretary for the Biden administration. She was on the board of Proterra. Now she's having to divest all of her shares, give up all of her options that are unvested, right? But that's a pretty sweet tie-in with the new administration. I'm not inferring that anything weird's gonna happen, and some people are even saying, does that mean that they're not gonna get the business because they have to be careful not to have it look bad, right? But listen, the bottom line is, do you think, you know that in her heart, she loves right? She knows this industry better than anyone. She's gonna make sure that this is a big part, this initiative is actually going to get executed in the Biden administration. So I have a lot of faith with that, in that connection. And that doesn't just benefit Proterra, that benefits Lion, it benefits Lightning, it benefits, Jordan, what was the one we were just talking about that you did or didn't get in? Bus, which is another,
Wait, which
one of the old,
Bus?
Bluebird,
Bluebird, yeah.
Yeah, they're the old school, bus company.
Now everybody's jacked about the.
And that's the thing. Nobody was talking about buses at all until you add the word EV in front of it and the word SPAC after it, and now all of a sudden it's the hottest thing ever.
But my favorite thing about this company, and I think this is what Chamath is probably most excited about, is they have deep relationships, partner relationships. So when you think about the end-to-end, kind of the full powertrain partnerships that they have, Daimler, excuse me, as we all know who they are, right? But they actually own Thomas Built. So Thomas Built actually makes 1 out of every 3 school buses, okay? So those buses are now getting made EV with Proterra electronic powertrains in them, okay? So like, that is a monster relationship that for me really kind of sets kind of a floor on the low end for Proterra. And then they also have, they have energy system partnerships with Bus Tech. Bus Tech does a lot of those class 6 to 8 vehicles that we talked about. I think we talked about them with, I think it was Lightning. And they have just straight out battery relationships with like Van Hool. They have 11,000 buses. They've delivered 11,000 buses to the US, and they're already starting to deliver from Belgium. It's a Belgium company. They're using Proterra battery systems, and they just started delivering their first buses to the US. So they have their hands in a lot of different OEMs in addition to what they're direct selling, okay? That, I think, is the really interesting aspect to what they do.
So is the hype justified, and are those projections of revenue, even if they're long shot, pie in the sky projections, are they somewhat realistic? And
well, I think
is this
got
thing
the
overhyped?
landscape.
That's all I need to know. Is it already overhyped?
Let's bring up the Unrivaled slide again.
Yeah.
That guy, that YouTuber. Hey, listen, I want to say something really, because people are starting to do, kind of challenge videos to some of our Dumb Money episodes. I love that. Critique everything that we say, guys. Challenge us. If there's any area where we're off, let us know. We go out before we run these episodes. One of the first things that we do is we will go out. I'll spend probably 6 to 12 hours deep diving research before we'll talk about something on this show. and I'll always search for a devil's advocate viewpoint. And there are a handful out there. I know, Jordan, you've been reading some. This guy has kind of a... I have to watch this guy in like 2x because I can barely handle like getting through his episode. But
I say the same thing about our episodes. And I saw a chat earlier saying whoever figures out how to watch a live stream at 2x is going to be rich. Whoever that was
I can do it. I watch this guy's at 2x. He's a fundamental investor, which we are not. We're social arb investors. But he brings up some good points in that now, Jordan, would you say you're investing at 4x basically?
Yeah, so what Chamath? I mean, Chamath got in at like $8, right? So that's about what you're. So he's already made his 4x, right? And so if this thing just hums along or keeps on going up, I mean, he's made a ton of money on this thing. And so you've got to figure out at $30, where is, what point are you actually generating enough cash flow for it to be worth it? And that is somewhere, 3-4 years down the line.
This guy's making a case that if things don't go so well, you could lose 88% of your money. If things go well, you can make 115% of your money. Okay, listen, I looked at his low, medium, best case scenarios. I do not personally see that low case being in the cards at all. In fact, I think probably somewhere between the kind of medium and best case scenario is where this company is likely to fall. But I don't even care because I'm not a fundamental investor, and I don't think the market is doing the type of analysis that he's doing this year on Proterra. Now, will they do it in 2022, 2023, 2024 as the company matures and there's less excitement? You're starting to get a feel for kind of how large or not large this EV bus market is. Yes, but by that time, the entire game has changed, right? Like the numbers all change. The market could be much bigger. Proterra could have another 5 dozen key relationships by then, right? Like this market could be monstrously big. Proterra being a market
relationships
leader,
or regulatory things, right? So I mean, Biden could come out with some initiative, right? And I think that's a lot of what's going on with this hype machine in the, in this whole green space, is that you've got a new administration that could be very friendly to some of these businesses, and we don't know the full context of that yet, right? But people want to be in on it.
There could be massive credits that we're not aware of, but the thing that excites me most, guys, is this is not something that people normally think about. It's access to funding, okay? So listen, this company now, they are already a market leader in the space. They now, through the SPAC process, and this is a really important reason why these companies are choosing the SPAC roadmap versus the IPO roadmap, because it buys them a few months, right? They get out there in the public markets quicker. They have cash. I think they're raising about $650 million of cash. That will give them about $850 million of cash. They will get a jump on this market. Success in this market, when you have a monster tailwind like they have with the Biden administration, will ultimately lead to more success in terms of the ability to raise funds, right? So as the stock gets pumped, think back to Tesla, guys. As the stock gets pumped, we might think they're kind of getting ahead of themselves, but because they're ahead of themselves, they now can raise cash at higher levels with less dilution, which enables them to build more factories, enables them to build a bigger sales force, better customer service. As we know, they're not just building buses, they're building the entire value chain, even kind of back to grid, like just like Lion was doing. These guys are doing kind of back to grids to where the school district or even the local city. So like in Dallas here, DART is kind of our public bus system. They're basically pitching systems to local cities where when the buses are sitting back at the parking lot, right, when they're not being used, now that parking lot has become a power hub for the city of Dallas, okay? Because all of those buses, if we have peak energy usage, can be tapped for kind of energy back to the grid, okay? So there's so many things at play here, and to be able to coordinate that type of kind of an end-to-end system, to be able to actually finance it, manufacture it, sell it, maintain it, only the big boys are going to have that type of success. And Proterra is right out there in front, just like Lion, as a market leader in this space. So just like Tesla, I think they'll be able to take advantage of that over the next 2 to 3 years. And who knows how big this company can get. They could become an absolute monster, okay? So that's
just
why...
Just to recap, for people who are just joining us, and John wants to know what stock we're pumping today. The thing is, We are not pumping anything. This is just a conversation between three dudes who invest, and I haven't made up my mind on this one. I'm leaning towards low conviction to no conviction. I'm not going to do it. Chris has already made up his mind after doing whatever 12 hours of research you're talking about that you're in already, and Jordan is still making up his mind too. So, while we're not financial advisors, we just talk about the things that we're thinking about doing for ourselves.
Yeah, I haven't.
And the one that we're talking about today happens to be this ACTC, which is ArcLight Clean Transition Corp, which is a blank check company that is going to be the vehicle that turns this Proterra company into a public company instead of doing the traditional IPO route. So that's what we're doing here today.
All right. You know, some people, I'm reading comments, they say Chris is just blowing smoke. Any of you agree? Listen, I have been watching companies at the pinnacle of change for the past 25 years. And the thing I'm most surprised by is not how I overestimated how large they can become. It's how often I underestimated how large they can come. When you have market leading companies during these points of complete change as a society, and this is one of the largest changes we've seen, right, in decades. The entire world is electrifying, and I know we like to think about consumer vehicles and how sexy they are and autonomous driving and all that stuff, but guys, the size of these industry sectors,
major change in society when it comes to how people get around.
The
Both
vehicle
mass transit,
fleets.
individual transit, everything is changing.
Right.
I mean, the way you power your home is changing. There's so much change going on.
Completely. I mean, the consumer's a tough game, right? Because it's highly competitive. Where some of these commercial deals are a lot more lucrative, right? I want to say something about SPACs in general, in that I feel like there's this opportunity right now, obviously with technological innovation that's going on, that we're getting to take advantage of, but also with these SPACs, and I was kind of annoyed about them when they first started popping up. But at the same time, we actually do early seed investing, right? So we invest in companies before they go public. What I see the good thing about these SPACs, and some of them get overhyped and overblown too quickly, and so they get a lot of risk pumped into them. But you get to get into some of these companies earlier than you would have been able to if they would have just gone through a traditional IPO route. And so you get early access to deals now.
It is,
and
it's basically a way to participate in IPO shares.
Right.
Like the way that we would normally do it is try to find these shares in the private market and buy them, and that's something that not everybody has access to. And the new world of SPACs actually is just opening it up. Anyone with a Robinhood account can now buy shares of this blank check company that will eventually merge with another company to be the public. It's just a way to get in earlier than has historically been available to the individual investor. You
get in earlier, but you also assume more risk, right? And so these companies aren't as far along in their product pipelines and things like that. And some of them, I mean, it depends on the company, right? But there's inherently a little bit more risk in these things because
we should do a whole episode on what we like and don't like about SPACs, because there are great things. It gives new access to companies earlier. It is rewarding companies for their future growth instead of like traditional IPOs. Just look at all of their history, and like the fundamental investors look at their numbers and then try to put a valuation on that. So I think that might be an interesting topic for a future date.
Guys, but most importantly, timing. Timing matters. This is a race. Like the electrification game is an absolute race. This is not coincidental that you're seeing a dozen EV SPACs race to market. Why are they racing to market? They all are racing for one, manufacturing capacity. There's a build out time on manufacturing. Almost every single EV SPAC that we talk about is in the process of expanding their manufacturing. They're in the process of wanting to secure battery supply, which is absolutely critical. It's going to become really hard to be a small player in this space 2 years from now. Listen, we're talking about companies that are in a massive commercial trucking industry, right? Fleet industry, that are doing $200 million of annual sales that are expected to grow to $2 to $3 billion of annual sales in the next 4 years. Just think about that. They're looking to 10x their sales in the next 4 years. Now you could think that's BS or not, but they are doing it. Listen, Proterra has $750 million of orders and backlog right this second, okay? And we're just scratching the surface. We're just getting started. So yeah, it seems ridiculous paying 4x what Chamath paid literally a month ago, 2 months ago, right? I mean,
well, I tell you, just rush through his first name and just hope you get it right.
Yeah, listen, I want to get back to the question: is it overhyped? I think it's hyped. I don't think it's overhyped for me. Okay, so yeah, it's. Do I have? Is it a large position for me? It's more like
my two follow-up questions are always: what is your level of conviction, and how much did you invest?
Well, words are cheap. I mean, money talks. So let me just tell you exactly how much I have in these deals, right? So I have $1.5 million now in line. All right, so that is up. I've made close to $400,000. It's down quite a bit today. It's down 150 grand today. I was up $500,000 in line.
And that's
Plug,
the one
I
that I did not get in on.
Yeah, I have
an NGA.
Yeah, I have $1.3 million in Plug. That's up $1 million. So I had $300K in Plug, and now it's at $1.3 million. Some people thought I was nuts for putting 300 grand in Plug when I did. I have $1 million in Lightning.
Lightning e-motors. GIK.
Yeah, I have $1 million in Lightning e-motors, and I only have $500,000 in this SPAC. So that kind of gives you an idea. And why do I have less? It's not because I believe in this company less. I think this company, quite honestly, might be the best out of all of them. I think this company is more hyped, right, than Lion, and more hyped than Lightning e-motors. So when I think about how much money I want to have in the kind of commercial EV trucking space, right, when we talk about urban trucks, commercial transit buses, school buses, all, like we've been talking about this all week, right? I'm thinking I want to have a few $1 million, and this is how I'm dividing it, right? This is how I'm breaking it down. So yes, I think it's more hype.
Did your smaller position in this, did the fact that you had a $5 million margin call over the weekend play into the fact that you got less into the one that we're talking about today?
No. That was just me.
Just some bad timing.
You bought this last week, right?
No, that was a miss key on an options trade that put me in a $45 million short. So I had to clear out. But no, that was a mechanical issue. Mechanical issue, right here.
A bit of an issue, yeah.
So
a little misfire.
Listen, like I said, the best way to explain my conviction level, I don't think it's overhyped, but I do think it is more hyped than the other companies in this space. And I also want to say this: you never know which of these companies are going to really kind of pull away in terms of, listen, I spent total 30 or 40 hours researching the EV commercial vehicle sector over the last couple weeks. I don't work in that sector. I don't really know behind the scenes what's going on at Lightning and Lion and Proterra, right? So it's hard for me to say with conviction which of these three companies, and there's others too, right? There's others that are in EV fleet management, and then there's the traditional companies that are trying to catch up. I don't know. So I want to have a piece of all of them, because what I do feel confident in is that this sector, you can't stop it. I don't think you can stop this sector, okay? I think this sector, I don't know how it fails the next 3 to 4 years unless there's major battery shortages, I don't know what happens to collapse commercial vehicles going EV. If you look at China, what's happening in China, they're able to be a bit more aggressive in some ways. They're quickly turning this industry around. Like, it's going to happen here. It's going to happen all around the world.
So
that's
ACTC,
where my conviction is.
If we're coming back to it, it is going this way, right? We're going to see that, the administrations and the governments are going to start to push for these things. Obviously, we all know that's happening. The other thing is that, it still has to make sense financially for these local governments. And that's one thing that ACTC is doing that's interesting. I don't know if all of them are doing this or not, but they're providing they're basically leasing the batteries where you pay for them over time, for you're not having to do that upfront, battery, investment. And so then, basically then it's more similar to like a diesel bus at that point, because, while your diesel cost is going to be zero, right, you're still going to make your battery lease payments, and maybe those are kind of offsetting. And then it might make more sense for these municipalities to to buy these vehicles at that point.
Yeah, listen, guys. The best way to think about it is I'm not overthinking it, right? I'm not overthinking it. I'm not going to pour another dozen hours to figure out is it Proterra versus Lion versus XL Fleet is another one, right, guys?
Every one of them, and you're building your own ETF of EV SPACs.
I did make it. No, but I did make a decision that, like, listen, and we're not going to do an episode about this, but I didn't love XL Fleet. Okay, like I read through the deck of XL Fleet. I know that was one that Kramer, I think, pumped a little while ago. XL Fleet is kind of right there competing on across the spectrum of commercial vehicles going to EV. They, I think, are a little bit behind, right? When I look at all these players, look at XL Fleet, they are more focused on hybrid. And when you look at the EV, the pure EV sector, they're like a year to 2 years behind. And time matters here. And that's why I don't have a position in XL Fleet. And I do have a position in these three and others that we'll talk about over the course of the next week. I'll also say this. Listen, Lucid is a controversial company. We had an episode on them. You should watch it if you hadn't. God, that might have been one of the best performing episodes we've done in a long time on Lucid last week. That company...
Well, it's a hot company.
But it has more risk, right? It has more risk because it's consumer oriented. The bottom line is, I've read like half a dozen people who have been in the car. I read one story about a guy that was in the back seat of the car taking a test drive, but because it was COVID, he had to be in the back seat with glass between him and the driver, right? But it blew his mind. So like everything I see on this Lucid Air, I can't find a single bad opinion of people that have touched it, felt it, been in it, ridden in it. I'm not saying it's the next, Tesla 2.0. We got a little crap for saying that, but that means a lot of things to different people depending upon context. When I say Tesla 2.0, I don't mean that Lucid is going to rival Tesla for the lead spot in the EV game. What I mean is, hey, they have made improvements. They're looking at where Tesla is weak in that kind of luxury segment, right? They're looking at where they can kind of improve and enhance. And of course, Tesla's coming out with the new Model S. But you know what? Everything that I can see on that new Model S, all the rumors are saying it's going to be like one of these like really clean, sparse interiors. That's not like that. That's moving more. Tesla's moving more in that direction, right?
More the utilitarian, non-luxury direction.
Which is fine. I mean, I think that Tesla knows what they're doing. They know what they're doing. I think these guys think they have a niche. But why do I love Lucid right now? Because I don't think you can disprove the Lucid thesis this year. I don't think you can disprove the Lion thesis this year, or the Proterra thesis this year, or the Lightning e-motors thesis this year.
About Lucid is that if CCIV does not merge with Lucid, right? So that's your biggest risk, right?
Well,
so
there are other risks.
But we know that, and then the other risk is just
they delay production. Jordan, they could continue to. They've already delayed production 3 months. Okay, 3-4 months. What if they delay production yet again on the manufacturing line, which Elon has been known to do? So like it happens all over the place. What if this car comes out? And remember the fires with Tesla's first month? I mean, what if we had that issue?
Remember when Fiskars were like blowing up in people's garages?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things that can go wrong. I mean, there's a lot of things, but I think those are all low-ish probability things. I think there's probably a 70 to 85% chance that you can't really disprove that Lucid's going to be a powerhouse in this industry for years to come. Now, you could feel that they won't be, but you can't disprove it this year, right? And so I'm not worried about whether I'm going to be invested in Lucid and Proterra and Lightning and Lion in 2022. I'm worried about right now, this year, right? I think that's really the thesis that we have to hammer home, which is why I'm investing in these companies to the extent that I am. Dave? Did we lose Dave?
I thought he was just really intently looking at you, but it turns out he's frozen in time.
But wait, if we lost Dave, does that mean we've lost us? Because Dave is controlling everything. So if we lose Dave, how are we still here? Even?
Oh my gosh! Well, no, because it's all on the cloud, Chris. We're in the cloud. We're not using that.
All right. So Dave's broken. Yeah, all right.
Dave is broken.
I don't have to listen to him combating my views on this. That's kind of nice.
Yeah. Chris Stone just said that part of why Fisker failed is because a ship carrying their inventory to the U.S. sank years ago. I didn't know that about Fisker.
I didn't know that either. We're going to touch on some of these other smaller EV plays. We're going to throw them all in one episode because we've done so much work the last few weeks on this space. There are a lot of companies that we do not want to dedicate an episode to, but we're going to discuss all of them because we do have some pretty strong opinions on all the EV trades. So Jordan, are you in Proterra or are you not in?
I'm not in Proterra. I could see myself getting it. Like if we get it to pull back into the maybe low 20s, I could do it. But I just feel like it's. I don't think it's overvalued. I just think that it's completely valued at this point.
Hey, fine. I get that. Remember, I'm never going to look at value.
I know.
I'm always going to assume that the market is, to some extent, someone out there is looking at value and they're trading that, and that is part of the efficient market that's going into this trade, right? Well, Proterra is not. It's gotten so much attention. There are plenty of people out there to kind of figure out what the value is, right? And I think that it is hyped more than the other players in the space.
It's hyped more, but they do have a lot going for them, right? And mainly the Daimler deal, right? And then they've got some big people behind them, right? So Chamath does not want to see this thing fail.
No, it's not just Daimler. And remember, Jordan, like this is an industry with the way that it's popping. You need to be able to raise financing, right? You have to be able to continue to raise money. I mean, we're all fooling ourselves if we think this SPAC raise, the 650 million plus the 200 million is the last money they're going to raise. And the same exact thing goes for every other company in this space. It could be a year, it could be a year and a half, but there's additional funding coming down the road. And there are only a handful of companies that are going to be able to raise $1 billion, right? They're going to be able to, right? Like when they really want to go out and they're like, hey, orders are flowing in. It's insane, Jordan, for them to have $750 million of orders and backlog. That's not good. I mean, it's good, but it's not good.
But they've only built, 100, or I'm sorry, they've only built like 1,000 of these things.
But do you know what it tells me, Jordan? It tells me that it's not like if you're going out and buying an EV bus, you can go to the dealership or go to your fleet management company and say, hey, let me get 100 of them here next month. That's not going to work, right? I mean, there is a monster backlog. So the opportunity in this space, the rewards in this space, all the gold goes to the companies that can actually deliver. The companies that have the financing, the manufacturing, the pipeline, the ability to secure hundreds of millions of dollars worth of batteries, which Lion did recently, right, out of Canada, to be able to walk into that room with the government or with the school district and say, hey, we can actually deliver. So when you place this order, you know what you're getting. And guess what? Not only we can deliver, do you know what governments really want more than anything? They want to cover their butts, right? They want a company that's going to service their vehicles. We've said this before. Moving any fleet to electrification is a scary thing. Would that not scare you if you're in government or a school district and you're trying to move your entire fleet to an electrified fleet that you've never had any experience with?
That's why I like some of these guys they're not trying to build the whole bus. They take a bus that's already fleet worthy and they're electrifying it, right? And so that way it's less scary, right? There's still scary parts, but a lot of your techs can still work on basic things. They're still trained in the overall structure of that bus. There's obviously new stuff, right? But it's
kind of scary because you're talking about this whole charging infrastructure, right? It's like a big project. It's not something you can pull out of, Jordan, right? Like once you pull the trigger on a purchase order, it's not like 6 months later you can be I don't really like in my restaurant. Let me tell you something. It is a huge decision to figure out what restaurant management system we're going to use. When we made that decision, it cost us like $50,000. It wasn't the money. It was the fact that now our entire restaurant operates on this platform. For us to switch is incredibly difficult, and we're just a restaurant, okay? Imagine being a school district or the city of Dallas having to make this key decision. You're gonna make that decision with one of 2 or 3 or tops 4 of the largest dominant companies in the space that you know have great balance sheets. They're going to be around for a decade. They have people to help service those vehicles. If something goes wrong, they can stand behind the product. And right now, we only have a small handful of companies that can do this across the entire spectrum of fleet management, not just school buses, transit, ambulances, garbage trucks. Okay, it doesn't matter what your fleet looks like. Okay, delivery vans. We're talking about urban vehicles to ship packages from warehouses to smaller warehouses. Like, this is a monstrously big industry. We can argue if it's $250 billion or $1 trillion or something less. But we're talking about a monster industry where we have literally a small handful of companies that are capable of marketing and selling and servicing this space.
That's why I'm surprised like a Tesla doesn't come in and just buy one of these guys, especially with that many orders in the backlog, right? I mean, it seems like they should be able to put their market cap to good use, which this would be a very good use of those.
Jordan, you think it's going to be? Do you know how many companies? How about Daimler? Are you kidding me? Like, I think Proterra is going to be a standalone company in 2 years?
But I know that
I think it's 50% chance
Tesla has ambitions to be in some of these bigger transport. I mean, with the semi, not necessarily buses, but this could be another avenue for them to compete in.
Tesla just has their own way of doing things, though. But is Dave stuck again?
I don't even know if you guys can hear me.
He's making jokes.
Can you guys hear me? Probably not.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can. Oh, you do?
We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay,
we can
good.
hear you. We should have been like, no, we can't hear you. Just don't talk. Do you have anything to say, Dave?
No, I'm done. I'm signing off. You guys doing fine.
All right, listen. I think I've said what I had to say like 3 times over. I feel like I have to defend my own position, which is important, because if I can't defend my own position to myself, I need to get out of it. And it is a challenge when you've seen a stock go up, 3x over a short period of time. You have to ask yourself, is it overhyped? Is this thing overhyped? Yes, it's hyped. I don't think it's overhyped in the grand scheme of. I don't think Peloton is overhyped in the grand scheme of things, if they execute to the way I think they can execute. Now, I picked the wrong day to wear my Peloton shirt, by the way.
Down 7% right now, Chris. Oof.
You want to know how much I'm down, Jordan? $400,000 in Peloton right now. $421,000. That's how much I'm down right now.
I actually sold 1/3 of my shares in December, but I still got 2/3.
And I have yet to. I was in Peloton just briefly, made barely any money, and just did not have enough confidence to stay with Peloton. So that was my mistake. But I will say, here, you have not convinced me. I'm not going to get in this one.
All right.
I think it is overhyped. It's not for me.
Okay. I get it.
I wish you all the best.
All right. Jordan, you're thinking about it, but you haven't pulled the trigger either. So
yeah, I like it. Look, I like it. I mean, the biggest thing is you've got really good backing, and so I think the hype machine continues, right?
I don't know. We'll see.
I did see a comment that said that they have not heard the word hype more in a short span than anywhere else. Someone really needs to take this entire episode and just cut all the times we said the word hype into like a super cut and put that on Twitter, and we'll show that in the next episode. Whoever does it first.
I hope nobody does that.
It'd be so hype.
Please don't.
I just added that
guys,
to give you a little something to work with.
All right, guys. So are we doing inauguration tomorrow, or are we doing another EV SPAC episode, or are we doing that
tomorrow? I'm checking out at this hotel, so if I'm somewhere stable with an internet connection, I'll be glad to jump on the inauguration live stream. Okay,
there is a non-EV SPAC that I cannot wait to talk about. I'm invested. I'm thinking about. I put more money in actually this morning, and I'm super excited. It's not a done deal yet. It's one of these rumored SPACs. I want to do that as our next episode. It could be tomorrow, or it could be Thursday if we do inauguration tomorrow, or nothing, depending on where you are, Dave. But if you are around, we're going to do inauguration. Are we going to do we're going to live stream inauguration and trade it? Well, we can't trade it. What time is
there's a whole bunch of like pageantry around it. I was thinking that if we could find out when the speech is actually going to be, that would be the time to do it, because we want to listen for keywords in the speech that we can tie to stocks.
When is the whole thing? Like, when does it go down?
The whole thing, I think, starts at noon, but I don't know exactly what time the speech is. But I'm sure someone in the chat knows. And if not, someone in the comments know.
Okay.
Someone who
So
made it this long into our video.
let's live stream it if you can, Dave. So please
And
hit.
if not, I can give you the login. You can run a stream.
You really? I can barely run an earpiece. Okay.
I know, it's a real problem.
Just hit the bell for get notifications so that if we are able to live stream tomorrow, you can join us. We will be live trading inaugurations. I love live trading inaugurations. I really do. I've done it almost every administration. And I say live trading, not necessarily the event itself, but just trading around it the next day, analyzing what was said, analyzing what you think is going to be said. I hope he talks about buses tomorrow, right? Like, that's all I'm thinking about right now. EV buses. Please talk about EV buses, Joe. Please do it.
I need to get
an
an EV camper van, and then I'll be set. Pageantry, yes. So it's either at 12:30 or 11:30.
Is that our
really
time?
knows?
Oh, Eastern?
Those are Eastern. I know that I'm guessing that Meet Kevin will be live streaming, so maybe we could just jump on his stream. Just restream his stream.
We're gonna live
no
stream
idea.
Meet Kevin's live stream of the inauguration.
Yeah.
That would probably be better. It'd be less stressful. We can just add. Can we be the color commentary on Meet Kevin's live stream? That'd be great.
Kevin, if you're watching, which I don't think you are,
He normally pops in and
someone in
waves
his
at
live
the end.
chat, tell him that we would like to join his color commentary. All right. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one, right? We're done,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do all the things, like all the buttons. Go to dumbmoney.tv because that is the place where you can find all the places where you can follow us that aren't here. And like we say, turn on notifications on this channel because if we do a show tomorrow, that is the only way to know about it. Right?
That's right.
What else do I need to say? We have a podcast, Dumb Money Podcast. You can find on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts and everywhere podcasts. We have a community on Discord. You can go to dumbmoney.tv/Discord to get to that. We have Twitter. We have TikTok. Chris is trying to become a TikTok superstar. He hasn't posted anything yet, but he's assuring me that it will include some dancing and probably cats.
No.
All right. Thanks for
Yes.
watching. We're Dumb Money. We'll see you soon.